Hi everyone. So today I thought I would talk a little bit about if bunnies need to live in pairs or groups to be happy and content, or if they are okay living singularly by themselves. So I have two pairs of bonded bunnies, as you know. I have my older pair, which is Billy and Coco. Coco's 11 and Billy is 9. And I have my younger pair, which is BL and Lotus. And BL is about 6 and Lotus is about 5. I've had bunnies that have lived on their own singularly before I've bonded them, and I've known of bunnies that I now have, like BL, who lived singularly by himself with his previous owner and obviously is now in a pair. So I have a little bit of comparison of what they've been like on their own, and then also what they've been like when I've bonded them with another bunny. So bunnies are by nature really social creatures, and they love to interact with each other. They have a very specific, like any animal, I guess, very specific communication between their own species, and they also absolutely love being groomed by each other. In the wild, bunnies live in groups, and it's the cutest name. A group of bunnies is called a fluffle, which is just so cute. So if you're going to look at nature for a starting point, bunnies do live in groups. They are social creatures, just like dogs live in packs and guinea pigs also live in groups. Bunnies are a social creature, and in the wild, they naturally live in a group. It's not to say that bunnies can't survive if they're on their own, or they can't be really happy if they're an only bunny in the house, but you have to make sure that if they are an only bunny, they really need to have a lot of attention, and they do need to not be kept outside in a pen or anything like that, where they're not going to be seen very much. They're really social. They like to have a lot of interaction, or they can get very depressed. So you need to have them with you inside somewhere where you can constantly be interacting, and they can really feel like they are still part of a group, in that they're part of their human family. Bunnies can also do well with other pets, so the right sort of natured cat or dog can sometimes bond with a bunny. You do have to be very careful because dogs and cats are predatory animals, so they're not naturally going to bond with a bunny, but with the right training and with the right temperament of the pet, that can happen. But in saying that, I do really feel that it is best for bunnies to be bonded. I just know how much absolute joy they get from having each other. A great example of bunnies being bonded and not, the difference between when they're bonded and they're not bonded and they're on their own, is with Coco, my eldest. So I've had her since she was just a tiny little bun, and I adopted her with her twin brother Snowflake, and sadly he passed away when they were both 9 because they're twins. And Coco was on her own for a little while after that, because I was a little bit unsure what to do. Being so old, I didn't know how I would go about bonding her and if I could find the right bunny to bond her with. So she was on her own for a little bit of time. And during that time, she became quite aggressive. She was on high alert all the time. She wasn't relaxed. She wasn't very happy. And I wondered if that was just her getting older, and maybe some of her senses were going a little bit, so she was a little bit disoriented and not as happy. But she was grumpy, she was growling, she was lunging. And I know a lot of that could have been as well that she was in grief for her brother. But she was on her own for, a good year or so. And she just stayed aggressive. She stayed on guard. She stayed not being very happy or comfortable in herself. And eventually I found a bunny to bond her with, which was Billy, who she's with now. He is 9 now. He was 8.5 when we got him, and I really made sure I wanted an older bunny to bond her with, so it wouldn't be too much for her. And since she's been bonded with Billy, the change in her is amazing. She's been so much happier. She's not aggressive at all anymore. She's not on guard anymore because she knows he's there to look out for her. And I think that's really important with bunnies. They're prey animals, so I think they do feel safer having a partner there that can help look out for them. So often what happens with my bonded bunnies is if one of them is sleeping, the other one will be sitting next to them, keeping a lookout to make sure there's no predators around. So I think they feel a lot safer and a lot happier in a pair or group situation. And I think it's really important for them to be happy and content in that grouping or that pair, is you really need to take the time to bond them properly, to pair them with the correct personality of rabbit and the correct age, and really take the time to bond them properly, because a lot of people just think you can put two rabbits together and they'll be friends. But the bonding process, it's a real process for bunnies. They are very territorial creatures. They're easily offended if the communication from the other bunny is inappropriate, and especially females are very territorial. So if you're trying to put two females together that are both territorial and feisty, they can fight very badly and injure each other. So it is really important to get them to be happily bonded bunnies, that you need to make sure you, first of all, select the right bunnies to bond, and secondly, take the time to bond them properly till they are actually fully bonded and loving each other. So it takes me quite a long time. It takes me a number of weeks to bond my bunnies properly, and I start off with the pre-bonding process, so having them in pens next to each other, getting them used to each other's smells, which I have done some videos about, which I'll put links to in the description if you want to check them out. So I think that is a really important part of having happily bonded bunnies, is actually pairing the bunnies properly, age-wise, temperament-wise, gender-wise. Boy-girl is always a best pairing, and then boy-boy, and then girl-girl. And making sure that you do bond them properly before you leave them alone, so that they are happy and they are bonded, So to wrap it up, I guess, bunnies can live on their own and they can be quite happy on their own, but I think having a pair of bunnies is the best option, because, as I said, I've seen the same bunny in BL living on his own, and then what he's like when he's been bonded with a mate, and he is just so much more confident and so much more happy having another bunny there. And he was quite a skittish, nervous little personality as it is, so having that other bunny there just for some security and comfort is really, really lovely. And they just take so much pleasure in grooming each other and snuggling together, and I think it's really, really, really lovely that they can have each other. So is it crucial to have two bunnies for your bunny to be happy? Not necessarily, but I think it really does add that extra element to their happiness and to their overall quality of life. So I would always recommend having at least two bunnies together. If you're unsure about bonding, if you've already got one bunny and you're unsure about bonding, there are some places that actually will take your bunnies for you and bond them for you. There's also tons of information online as well of how to bond bunnies. And if you don't have a bunny yet and you want to get a bunny, then I definitely recommend getting an already bonded pair, because you don't have to do any of the hard bonding work then. That is just my opinion on the subject. So I hope that was interesting. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Love and hugs. Bye.